Welcome to May. One of the great things I love about doing laser cut prefused applique is it's so easy to stay caught up. I was thinking in my mind before I did the video that I had probably 4 or 5 blocks left, but we're already on block number 5. We just have 2 more remaining. So this is definitely going to get quilted and hung up on the wall this year before the year is out. Hand applique, that would never be the case. One of the things I like to do when I have large component like this to piece to put onto the background fabric, I like to go ahead and do that on a Teflon release paper, a pressing sheet, so that I can get the whole thing in position on the pattern and see where everything goes, and then I can remove this whole thing as one component if I do it carefully and get it into position as a whole. I've already steamed this all into place, so if I'm very careful I should be able to lift it all up as one unit when I get to that part. Another little tip that I would like to tell you, on all of our block of the month blocks that we've had so far, we have some lettering. And I think the lettering is really cute, but if you didn't like the lettering, you could always omit that. And that's one of the nice things about doing some little edits on the block of the month. If you don't like something, you can leave it off and or reposition it someplace else. I've also been looking for one of our pieces. Every once in a while, one of the pieces of fusible doesn't get all the way adhered to the fabric. And you can see that when you lift the paper off the back, you can clearly see that the adhesive is on the fabric. It has a little texture, little sticky texture side. But if ever you get a piece that doesn't have it completely fused down, all you have to do is put the paper back on and fuse it with the iron. Make sure you use steam. Let that piece cool, and then when you go ahead and peel the paper back, you'll go ahead and have the adhesive where it needs to be. Also, I've had a couple of people say they have trouble with these little spirals sometimes, getting them right into position. And I always find that if I start with the little point, if I can get that little point in the right place to start off with, all I have to do is run my finger around and it goes perfectly smooth where it needs to be. Excuse me. Sometimes when you're doing a large component pieces, it's hard to see where the piece goes. And one of the things I like to do is just slide the pattern up to give you the position one way, and then you can take it and slide it the other way to get the height. That way you get both the height and the width correctly on a piece. But to be perfectly honest, if your door was a little off center, I don't think it would be the end of the world. In fact, many of us might think that would be the perfect thing for our door to be a little off center. Would match the personality of the occupant. Some of the pieces do have to get folded when we put them in the packaging. So if you have a really large piece like the back of the house, or sometimes the eave of the house, the roof line is folded when we put it in the package, I always like to iron those flat before I go ahead and attach them to the background, just to make sure you don't get a little tiny pleat in there. Ooh, see what I almost did there? Getting that all lined back up and centered. I can get my little house put in its approximate location, and that looks just a tiny bit crooked. That is also the great thing about this. These pieces are repositionable, which is why we use Steam Seam 2 until you hit it with the iron. Now once you hit it with the iron, you're pretty well committed to that being in place. So now I have all of my pieces. They are just positioned in place with the Steam 2. I haven't fused anything with the iron yet. And now I'm going to try my luck and see if I can get old Saint Nick up off of his background in one piece. Wish me luck. I've already started thinking about what kind of quilting pattern that I want to use with my Winter Wonderland block of the month, because I'm really seeing this hanging on my wall this Christmas. No delays. Wonder if I can peel him off easier this way. Look at that ingenuity in progress. And old Saint Nick is off and ready to be added to the design. If I line up his feet more or less, that's good enough for me. I never was a perfectionist. Those of you perfectionists out there can take as long as you like to get yours on. Now all I have to do is give it a good steam. And remember, you do need steam with the Steam 2. It is required. So if you don't like to put water in your iron, then have a little squirt bottle and spritz the top of the quilt. Either way is good. I like both, to be perfectly honest. I like to get the spritzers with a little bit of fragrance in it. And just this fast, you could have another block complete on your Winter Wonderland block of the month. And because I have snow in the background, I may have snowflakes in my quilting pattern. Or I may choose something that looks like a little blowing, blustery breeze. After I get this whole piece steamed, and I would steam it a little bit longer than what I have for the video, I would go ahead and turn it over and steam again on the back. This is especially important for these large component blocks where there's multiple layers in one piece. It just gives the heat a chance to get to the back of those elements and really bond that adhesive to the back. But as you can see, we're moving right along, and 2 more months and we'll have the whole top finished, and it'll be ready for borders if we want, and pick out our backing. Thanks for joining us.